Making a game look photorealistic is a monumental task in today's industry. It takes hundreds of people and years of graphical and texture work before a game can be completed, and even then it might not come out looking so good. Instead of aiming for realism, some developers opt to give the game a style all its own, an art style, if you will. This is my personal list of the best art styles in video games. If you took every music video from the 1980s and mixed it with a half ton of LSD, you'd probably end up with something that looks a bit like Hotline Miami. Flashy graphics combined with bright neon colors fill every frame of Hotline Miami's visuals. It's certainly not subtle, but it's not obnoxious either. Reminds me a lot of those arcade cabinets with its flashing text and pulsating animations practically screaming out for your attention. Just everything about this game is a callback to 80s pop art, and they pulled it off very well. Something I love in an art style is creativity. Whereas many art directions make things look more beautiful in their use of bright, vibrant colors, Limbo uses none of them. Making a game in black and white is not an easy thing to do. Without the use of color, it can be really hard to make things stand out or to keep every area from looking the same. But the designers behind Limbo pulled it off perfectly. The end result is a game that looks heavily inspired by film noir, while also maintaining its own style. I mean, I thought the game was really boring, but, at least it looked nice. Borderlands is a game series that's well known for having a unique graphical style. It uses a lot of vibrant colors and thick outlines around the 3D models to give the game a comic book-like appearance. It fits perfectly with the game's lighthearted writing, and it really makes the game stand out when compared to most first-person shooters. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is a beautiful game that you can't even look at while you're playing because you have to look at the gamepad the entire time. I mean, that aside, I know I was just talking about how games use art styles to move away from photorealism. But this game just completely defies that. I mean, look at this, that is real Play-Doh. Nintendo has this odd obsession with arts and crafts, and I love it. It's like they sit down at the drawing board and they're like, wait! What if the drawing board was the game? I mean, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse looks... look at it, it's clay. It's a game made out of clay. So Nintendo has that whole arts and crafts thing going for them, like I said, and in 2010 they released a game called Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Wii that featured a yarn Kirby roaming through a cross-stitched dreamland. Then they thought, what if we make a new console that could make Yarn look even better? And thus the Wii U was born for the sole purpose of yarn-based gameplay finally reaching its truest form. Only with Yoshi this time, because Kirby already got that whole clay game, so Yoshi's Woolly World. Yoshi's Woolly World. That's the number 6. That's the number 6 spot. The whole world is yarn, and it looks so good. I just can't get over it. It's adorable. It's like the rest of the world keeps worrying about advanced graphic engines and realistic lighting and shadows, and Nintendo's just like finger painting. It's just... Okay, we're moving on. I'm sorry. We're moving on. As of this video, Caphead is a game that hasn't even been released yet, so it might come out looking like MS Paint, I don't know, but assuming it stays the way it is, this has to be one of the most impressive art directions I've seen pulled off. As I'm sure you can tell, it's based on the style of 1930s cartoons. The way things move, the colors they use, it's extremely convincing. This is a game that dove headfirst into its design, and I'd say it paid off. Pixel art can be a real hit or miss with games, and nowhere will you find a game that looks more cheerful and alive than Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. There isn't a single frame of this game that looks bad, so anyway, I could sit here and say all the things I've said about the other games, about how it's got fluid animations and vibrant colors and other things, but I don't really feel like doing that anymore. So, you know what? It looks great. It looks better than all the other ones so far, and it's going at number 4. I love Yoshi's Island. When Tim Schafer makes a game, it will have a good story and it will look amazing. Broken Age is no different. Every backdrop, character, and object in this game is hand-painted, giving it this homemade sort of organic look that makes you feel like you're really looking into another world. I'd highly recommend giving this game a shot even just for the visuals alone. Plus there's great voice acting, an intriguing story, there's a... Okay, look, I promise I'm not getting paid to say this. You thought we were done with arts and crafts? Paper Mario not only uses its art style as a way to convey the game visually, it uses a paper motif to drive the gameplay as well. I mean, you can say the same thing about the other games, but who wins in a game of yarn, clay, paper? The scissors, but that's not important right now. Paper Mario is a classic, and it looks even more incredible with its newest release, Paper Mario Color Splash. I mean, that game looks great. I just kind of wish they were still RPGs. Anyway, let's look at some honorable mentions before we reveal number 1.
So let's try fighting some of these enemies.
Step on the gas, step on the gas, step on the brake, step on the brake, step. Game over, yeah!
Cell shading! Big heads! Yes!